Oh, yeah, it's that time again. Happy Gay Pride! Just roll the footage.
As opposed to what the left view is, in that you should be teaching children about overt sexual proclivities.
So Kirk's book is not about the LGBTQ stuff. It's just about pride and humility. It's
Oh,
about
okay. Not
right,
I thought you meant like pride
right.
in the
Yeah.
like it's Pride Month or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no, okay, yeah, no, I agree. I think with Target, there's a lot of people saying like Target's always done this, and I'm like, yeah, well, I think parents are finally getting fed up with it, and I think the issue is, it's one thing to have a parade, it's one thing to have, in this neighborhood you're doing something. The problem has always been many of these people are stepping over the line, in that, like the pride parades, you have a lot of nudity. You have a lot of gratuitous adult activity happening on the streets, things that aren't legal, to be completely honest. I don't even know how.
Yeah.
And that's been that way my whole life. But when it comes to the Target issue, I think it's parents are walking into Target, and then they're seeing their kids are with them. And then I can't imagine what it must be like, and you guys can tell me, having your 7-year-old say, what is homosexual mean, or
Right.
what is LGBT refer to, and then now you're tasked with, I haven't even talked to my kid about normal reproduction.
Yeah.
How are we jumping into kink and these other things, right?
It's trying to regain its spot as America's top-selling beer after sales dropped 23% last month compared to the same period last year. Analysts blame the plunge on a Bud Light ad posted on social media by a transgender TikTok star.
This month, I celebrated my day 365 of womanhood, and Bud Light sent me possibly the best gift ever, a can with my face on it. Check out my Instagram story to see how you can enjoy March Madness with Bud Light and maybe win some money too.
So many conservatives boycotted Bud Light after the ad went public, and when the parent company tried to distance itself from it, it caused backlash with the LGBTQ plus community. Wall Street Journal reporter Jennifer Maloney joins us now to talk about this. So we should clarify, Jennifer, for people to understand. And Dylan makes it clear in her TikTok video there that Bud Light sent her a can. She was celebrating a milestone, and Bud Light sent her a can, which she then herself posted on her Instagram. I think the language by some right-wing news sites and folks and conservative people on social media has been that this was a campaign by Bud Light. It was not a campaign in the sense that they spend millions of dollars, they put together an ad budget, and this is what they're doing, right?
That's correct. It has been really surprising to see the amount of impact this has had on Anheuser-Busch. Usually boycotts blow over, and this one didn't.
It enables the Attorney General to create a 2S LGBTQI plus community safety zone to prohibit within 100 meters of the property any homophobic, transphobic act of intimidation, threat, offensive threats, offensive remarks, protest, disturbance, and distribution of hate propaganda within the meaning of the criminal code. It also comes with it a penalty of $25,000 if prosecuted successfully.
This is Dan Dix here reporting for Press for Truth, and yes, you heard that correctly. You could soon be fined $25,000 for uttering harmful remarks within 100 meters of a 2S LGBTQI plus elemental P event. This Twitter user asks, offensive remark defined by who? So I said, by them. Here's an example of a remark they find offensive. Children cannot consent to medical transition. If they get their way, one would have to pay up to the tune of $25,000 for saying that.
Oh boy. Wow. Ah, okay. Ah.
A Canadian child protection activist is known as Billboard Chris. He carries a billboard and protests peacefully against the transitioning of children. Now, he's a father of 2 girls and is seeking to expose gender ideology and why he says children should not be able to consent to medical transition. In fact, he says they cannot consent to medical transition. Now, look at this rally in Vancouver. He's standing in a park, not only being intimidated and verbally attacked, but also physically attacked, all in front of the police.
So it's cowardice, buddy, all around.
Now, here's another angle of that attack, and look at how many police are there witnessing Chris being menaced and then assaulted.
People probably want. How do you keep your?
What?
How do you keep posure?
Nothing.
Okay. They just violently assaulted. My phone, my party. Did you just say he came here to incite violence by forcing his opinion on people?
Yeah. Yes.
You think he came here to incite violence because they got offended by his sign?
When you
What
talk
is
to
wrong
someone
with you?
and scream at someone and
He
put
didn't
your
scream
face,
at all.
Yes,
he
did.
didn't. They put their face in his face. What is
Yes.
wrong with
Okay.
you?
Okay.
So are you saying the guy who hit him
How on earth did you
defended
become a
himself
police
in
officer?
self-defense?
She's literally
What?
sitting here saying that Billboard Chris is inciting violence by standing there with his sign. Is that really your position?
Total Control 871, welcome back to BitChute, welcome back to Rumble, welcome back to Free Speech. Hey, welcome back to a good stiff drink. You dig what I'm saying? I don't think I'll be buying the Breckenridge again. It was finished in a sherry cask. And quite frankly, the whiskey is just a little bit too sweet for my particular liking. It's a decent whiskey, but it's just not my kind of thing. So I don't think I'll be buying it again. Hey, I went out on a lark and decided to try something new, and I did. So, well, that was a learning experience. All right, let's see if we can give a learning experience to this LGBT community. Yes, people, hello and welcome to the Gay Pride episode. Today we're going to be talking about basically everything that has been plaguing the shit out of the LGBT community. And of course, we have what do these people call themselves? I've heard one such jargon call them trans Tifa, Antifa, trans Tifa. I do wonder very much indeed, are legitimate trans people, are they anywhere near privy to being aware to the fact that their community has been hijacked by a radical communist organization? Sorry. Radical communist organization. What have I got here? I got the sassy. Sassy. Yeah, you know what? The first thing, seeing as how today it is the June 19th, that is what, Juneteenth, I think it's called. Excuse me, I'm opening up an alcohol wipe. Me glasses are just a bit smudgy, so I guess I should have did this before I started recording, but hey, we've gotten to know each other pretty good. You're not going to begrudge me a little cleaning of the glasses, are you? I need to take my glasses in. I got to get them worked on. It's always something. There's always an expense, I tell you. But our LGBT community, they've been hijacked for a couple of years, and these children. Okay, let me ask you this. Seeing as how I got my whiskey here, let me see if I can bring things into a sharper perspective like this. Could I invite any of the neighborhood children that I see riding their bicycles, walking their dogs, etc.? Could I invite any of these children inside my house? Sit them down? Could I start talking to them about sexual experiences that I've had? Could I pour them a whiskey? Or if the whiskey is a bit too much, how about we lower the AVB, huh? What if I were to give them a Bud Light? Any better? Would that be okay? Is that sanctioned alcohol? If I gave them a Bud Light beer to any of the 9, 10, 11, 12-year-olds that I see riding their bikes up and down the street, little girls, little boys, would that be okay if I gave them that? Brought them inside my house, sat them down, and gave them an alcoholic beverage. What if the child were to, I don't know, if I were out on my front porch or my back deck, and, sometimes children will ask for alcohol from adults. What if the child asked for the alcohol? Could I then give it to them? Would that be appropriate? I think we all know the answer to the question, and more to the point, I think we all know where I'm going with my comparative analogy. Okay? The police department would be at my door instantaneously. Okay? And they would arrest me, and I would be in the jail, leg irons, the whole bit, before the sun set on that day, and rightfully so. And what's so interesting, what's so very interesting is that this alcohol, it would literally be as detrimental as it may be to a child, to ply a child with alcohol. Okay? I mean, hell, we see how it dramatically compromises adults' decision-making, much less the child. At least, though, we can say that alcohol will ultimately be metabolized. Eventually the child will most likely sleep it off. But things like sex change hormones, that's something that's not really going to be metabolized in the same way. Sex change surgery. So the child cannot come to me and say, Mr. Amir, I don't say that I'm not 12 years old, but I identify as a 12-year-old that is mature enough to be able to handle a full-bodied whiskey. And Mr. Amir, I think I should be able to handle that full-body whiskey. Would you please pour me a scotch? Would you? So I couldn't do that. But what if I were a nurse practitioner and this same child were to come to my practice, sit down and tell me all about how at school they feel like they're nobody. They're not noticed. And how when other students came out as trans, suddenly they were noticed. Everybody rallied around them. Everybody paid attention to them. Now you might be thinking that maybe I'm just, pushing this too far. Actually, no. No, I'm not. Okay, guys, I'm coming to you now from NBC News. This is an article that I came across that I was absolutely flabbergasted. I mean, I was floored when I read this. What this article basically entails is a bunch of hyperbole. The verbiage of it, I'm going to read as much of it as I can. I don't want to dawdle too long. I'm in the B-roll of the episode, and I've already got an hour's worth in the can, so I don't want to be too long here on this article. But basically, the whole point of the article is to use a lot of, oh my God, they're coming for us. That's the sensation that it's meant to leave you with. These people who are either genuinely trans, because frankly, we can just stop saying LGB, okay? Trust me. The gays, the lesbos, the bisexuals, they're pretty well adjusted. Okay, I apologies if I am speaking for you. Okay, but us genuinely gay people, we're pretty much well adjusted. It is just this youth that are utilizing the persona of trans. There you go. The persona of being trans. Quite frankly, just any kind of trans, they're just reaching into the barrel and I don't even think they really necessarily care. That's why all of a sudden non-binary, has suddenly become, all the rage and all the craze, non-binary. But trans adults in Florida blindsided that new law also limits their access to what they're calling healthcare, which is in all actuality a sex change. Says here in the subheader, many transgender Floridians now face tough choices, including whether to uproot their lives so they can continue to access their transition-related care. Now, that's, like I said, that was the whole purpose of this article. It's to fill the real trans or the pseudo trans. You know what? Real trans people, I don't think this is, what I'm about to read to you, I don't think this is really much of a barrier at all. The real trans community, debate surrounding Florida's new restrictions on gender, sex changes, focuses largely on transgender children who are, quite frankly, not even actually determined if they are transgender or not, because frankly, the term transgender children is an oxymoron. Children cannot make that decision. Like I said, can I pour your 12-year-old a scotch? Can I give your 12-year-old alcohol? Okay, if your 12-year-old tells me that they identify that they are mature enough, even at the age of 12, they're mature enough to handle alcohol, would this be permissible by the law? Then please explain to me why a 12-year-old is suddenly mature enough to correctly encompass exactly everything that goes along with transgenderism. Like I said, I even shared with you guys, why you need highly educated psychiatrists to oversee this. You need to have a one-on-one, very personal, very intimate relationship with your psychiatrist. with your psychiatrist, as in PhD. Matter of fact, hopefully they even have a couple of doctorates. Okay? A couple of doctorates. But what this article goes on to spell out how they were going willy-nilly with these sex changes in a box, nurse in a box, sex changes. Come on, let me just keep reading here. Because like I said, I don't want to be too long here. Eli and Lucas, two women who pretend to be men, who are a couple, follow the discussion in legislature where Democrats warn that children claiming to be trans would be more prone to suicide under a ban on sex changes for minors, and Republicans responded with very accurate information letting you know that they are mutilating children. Eli said he and his partner felt blindsided when they discovered the bill contained language that would also disrupt their lives. Now, when I read that part, I'm like, hold on. Because frankly, when I read that part, I'm ready to, like I say, civil rights. If you are an adult, then you do have the right to have, you have the right over your body. So I'm ready to advocate, for Eli here, for Eli and Lucas. But let's keep reading. Let's find out exactly how it all falls apart. There was no communication. Nobody was really talking about it in our circles, said Eli, 29. 29, yeah, okay. That's old enough to make your own decisions, no doubt about it. Like many transgender adults in Florida, he and Lucas are facing tough choices, including whether to uproot their lives so they can continue to access sex change procedures. Clinics are also trying to figure out how to operate under regulations that have made Florida a test case for restrictions on adults. My curiosity is continuing to be piqued here, because like I said, they're like they're late 20s. So yeah, I see here Lucas is 26, Eli's 29. Hey, that's old enough. Okay, that's old enough for you to do what you want with your body. So I'm ready to go to bat here for Eli and Lucas, even though you hear me say things like women pretending to be men. Some of my language might not be as politically correct as they would like or the trans community would like, but guess what? I'm actually going to be on your side. If this were to end up on a referendum, I might be there to actually vote in favor of you. See? This is what logic can do for you. But let's keep reading. Lucas, 26, lost his access to treatment when the Orlando clinic that prescribed him his hormone replacement therapy replacement. It's probably more accurate to say his cross-sex hormone therapy. Okay, you're not replacing it. You didn't lose testosterone, okay? You're looking to gain access to a hormone that nature does not intend for you to have, or to a degree, to an amount. Because from what I understand, both men and women both have estrogen and testosterone inside them, just in vastly different levels, okay? So, like it or not, Lucas and Eli, you are looking to do something that is against nature's design for you, biological nature, okay? Now, again, you are an adult. You can do this to yourself if this is what you truly want, okay? But that doesn't mean that you are free from regulation. Remember, everybody in the healthcare system is subject to regulations, okay? Let's keep reading. Let's see. Orlando clinic prescribing replacement therapy. The couple also worries about staying in the state that this year enacted several other bills targeting, I think, some more hyperbole. It goes on to say here, my entire life is here. My friends are here. My job is here, so let's just go to the next part that I want to point out here. Okay, so now we're starting to get down to the nitty gritty because, like I said, I'm reading the article, and frankly, I begin to get a little suspicious because it's like, how come you're not coming right out and saying it? It's like you just want to, like an infomercial. They never come right out and tell you how much it is until, they want to string you along with all how wow and great and wonderful the product is, and they like to get an X amount of time of you watching before they'll finally tell you how much the thing is. But here we go on. It says here, the new law that bans sex changes for minors also mandates that adults patients seeking sex changes sign an informed consent form. I'm like, okay, yeah, informed consent. Why would you not want to be fully informed about this medical choice that you're making? It would be nothing short of malpractice for a healthcare provider, whether it's sex changes or really anything. If it's, you want to know the ins and outs of all the medications that you're taking, don't you? I mean, it's just basic logic here. So this is a part of the article where I'm beginning to like, this is starting to fall apart. I'm beginning to understand why it's written in the way that it is. Clearly, this is a bunch of hyperbole, and that's exactly what it is. It also requires physicians to oversee any health care related to the sex change, and for people to see that doctor in person. At this point, I'm like, what? You're actually you're complaining. This is the would-be tranny's complaint. They are complaining that the healthcare provider, that the state of Florida is forcing my doctor to give me too much information. I shouldn't be forced to hear everything about the something like, a sex change. La 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 la. I don't want to hear la la la. I don't want to hear about all the things that can go wrong. I don't know. I don't want to look at no. And that these meetings have to be in person. Of course it has to be in person. You have to be fully and completely assessed. Where exactly are you at? Where your head is at. The doctor has to see how you're carrying yourself. See, there is so much, just so much to this. But of course, that's what this whole thing eventually deteriorates into. Let's see, where else does it go on to say here to the part where the nurse in the box? Those rules have proven particularly onerous because many people receive care from, my God almighty. Oh my God, so I can get this thing to highlight. Those rules have proven particularly onerous because many people receive care from nurse practitioners. Like I said, I was absolutely floored when I read this article. So, let's count, shall we? 1, they are angry that the state of Florida is trying their best to guard its citizens, to guard its residents against reckless malpractice. Whatever it is you're trying to get done. How about this? How about transplants? From what I understand, you want these people to take a gajillion injections. Strange. I don't see anybody crying about that. How about all the people who have been kicked off a transplant list because they don't want your experimental injection? Yeah, see, it's just more bifurcated everything. Bifurcated justice system, bifurcated healthcare. More division in the country. They're trying to say that you have to be fully informed. The state of Florida is saying you must be fully informed about this particular procedure because it carries so much weight. The implications of it, the fact that it is not reversible, that you will have to live with this decision for the rest of your life. And apparently getting fully informed consent is by these pseudo-trans people, that's just too much. I gotta go to him in person. I tell you what, why don't you just pretend that you gotta travel to go see an Antifa, okay? Just make pretend that you're gonna go see an Antifa meeting, okay? Because from what I understand, you guys never have any trouble whatsoever turning out en masse to force your way of life on other people and then call us the fascists. I'm still confused on that, but whatever. Okay? You can hop on buses and go halfway across the country, to help out, to marshal, to support the troops. Protests need help overseas. Or not overseas, but, the next state over, we need to rally together. Have a good showing. There you go. A good turning out, So you'll go to what, Georgia or South Carolina and have a good turning out to fight against, if Billboard Chris were to turn up, you wouldn't have a problem traveling to heckle and physically assault Billboard Chris, right? Right. But apparently, going to see a doctor, and frankly, it's not even a doctor, which takes me to my third point. Nurse practitioner, are you serious? Okay? Do you know what a nurse practitioner is? They're literally nothing more than a human being that's a search engine. That's the difference between a nurse practitioner and a doctor. Okay? Nurse practitioners are nothing. Frankly, I don't even know why we even have them anymore, because once we have search engines, then frankly, we really don't even need you. Anybody can Google. There is a spider crawling across my screen. So that's basically all that I wanted to point out in this thing. It is an absolutely monstrosity. I cannot believe that they go on and on here with their hyperbole. Oh my God, their hyperbole and their righteous indignation. How dare you? How dare you give us informed consent? How dare you make us travel to actually go get health care in person? Oh my God, how dare you? My nurse practitioner. Oh yeah, and it also goes on to say here, if I'm not mistaken, there was like a 20-year thing here. Let's see. It's something like, was it here? Hold on. Yes, here it is, I believe. Dunn estimates that 80% of trans adults in the state were getting their health care from a nurse practitioner, which explains a lot as to why suddenly everybody's running around thinking that they're trans. A nurse practitioner simply does not have the education to proclaim you trans. They seriously don't. Because there's just so much. I can't get into all that. You got people out there with kink and fetish and, are they transgender or are they a transvestite? Hey, nurse practitioner, are you even aware that there's a difference between the two? See, these people don't know. Goes on to say here, right now we're seeing in the community, it's just chaos. Dunn said, the law also contains language that said she could scare off doctors. Did the spider crawl across the lens yet? It's getting close. It's getting close to the lens. Oh my God. I think it's going to do it. Maybe. Went to the back of the phone. The law also contains language that said she could scare off doctors who would be otherwise willing to treat trans patients, such as a 20-year statute of limitations to sue over care they provide. So what's interesting about this point is that it actually, you see, it's on one hand, this pseudo-trans community, they're all about saying, we know ourselves, we know if we're trans, we know, give it to us, deregulate, give it to us. Matter of fact, why don't you just make it over the counter? Because frankly, that's next. Get rid of the nurse practitioner. Just make it over the counter, okay? Walk-in clinics, walk-in surgical clinics, just walk in and sign up for double mastectomy, hysterectomy, have your nuts cut off and your dick turned inside out. Just walk in, and just sign up for it, because they're saying that we know who we are, and we're not going to regret it. So if you're not going to regret it, then please answer. Why are you so opposed to this 20-year statute? Is it because you know in the coming years that there's going to be a great many who are going to be incredibly regretful of what they have done to themselves? See? The nurse practitioner diagnosis, it's coming to a head. All of these clinicians, this is what I tried talking about, when I say fresh meat for the grinder. That's what that's when they say genocide. No, you want fresh meat for the grinder, because with every year that goes by, there's going to be a large swath of your community that's going to become disenchanted with what they've done to themselves. And it gets more and more difficult to silence them. Because we've already seen how people who want to be vocal about detransitioning, how they get silenced. Drowned out by who? Drowned out by people like Eli and Jake, or whatever his name is, who are in the process of, chemically changing themselves to pretend to be a sex that they're not. Okay, so this just simply blew me away. I couldn't believe it. Oh my God, this was too long. I got a couple more that I got to do here. All right, let's jump back to the main. I was absolutely blown away into, I don't even have vocabulary for it. I mean, I knew they were playing fast and loose with the sex change surgeries, the sex change laws. I knew they were playing fast and loose. I had absolutely no idea that some nurse, not even doc in a box, but a nurse in a box, a nurse practitioner. Do you have any idea how monumental it is to change your sex? This is not something that you do on a lark, on a whim. Okay? This is not something that you do willy-nilly. And yet that is exactly what is happening with these children. They are literally being given these cross-sex hormones, sex reassignment surgeries, as if begging for, I'm flashing back. I can just imagine what some of the girls in I remember I was in like 5th, 6th, 7th grade. Big hair, lots of scrunchies in the hair. Do they even wear scrunchies in hair anymore? Lots of hairspray, lots of eye makeup, and it was a lot of toupee type dresses, or whatever they call it, a lot of ruffles. Sometimes they wore jeans underneath their toupee dress, or whatever they call it. I keep saying toupee, I mean tutu. Well. If I can find it, I'll put a picture of it up here as to what the hell I'm talking about in post-production. But do you get what I'm saying? It's changing your gender is not like adopting the latest Michael Jackson jacket zipper craze. Yes, see, back in my day, the fake leather, the fake leather jacket with the zippers all over everything. How Michael Jackson, the glove. And I mean, there were a lot of black dudes running around with jerry curls. Just let your soul glow. Coming to America, the Jerry Juice. Just let your soul. He was like, didn't he go on to be a doctor? Eric LaSalle or something. He went on to be a doctor on ER. He had the Jerry Juice. Yep, I'm drinking. Anyway, let me get back to my point. Let me put my drink. That's the only drink that I've had. That's my first one, and I haven't finished it yet. But I think I'll set it to the side. I don't want to get too goofy on you guys. Okay, let me look at my paper here. I do have my I want to talk. I got it written down here. My sassy flag. That's SASI, stands for social and sexual inadequates. Okay. Social and sexual inadequates. What do I mean by social and sexual inadequates? I've tried very much indeed in the past talking about this, and well, instead of me, picture's worth 1,000 words, so here go 1,000 words. Queer as folk from the late 90s, early 2000s, it had a show within the show, so this was a parody, okay? Because if you ever watch Queer as Folk, it caters to a very particular type of gay men. White, twinks, it's a very, very particular type. So they decided, the creators, who are gay men, creators of the show, they decided to basically poke fun at themselves, poke fun over the lack of diversity. So what they wanted to do was, okay, they decided to, because like the characters in the show, they would turn on their TV and be like, oh my goodness, Gay as Blazes is Gay as Blazes is on. Let's watch the latest episode. So the fictional characters are watching a fictional show on the show. And in it we can see we got our wheelchair, we got black, we've got Asian, we've got, interracial couples. In other words, what we have is everything that is now a mainstay, that is now a DEI mainstay in television making. It used to be the butt of a joke, but now it is the mainstay, Here they are, interracial couples, and we gotta show disability because that was what they were that's what they were saying, because they were talking about, let's keep focus. That's the point that I am making here. If I could reiterate the creators of Queer as Folk, what they were saying was that we cannot fill our mouths with too much. The creators, they're actually gay men, older gay men too. They're not young, so they've got some wisdom in their head. What they were saying was quite simple. They have to keep their focus on par. What they were doing with Queer as Folk was already edgy enough. You start bringing in, you begin to overload. Suddenly, your audience is overloaded. You've got all of these shoehorned together. You're advocating for too much. I know. There's a great deal of injustice in the world. And I wish I could just snap my fingers and make it all go away. But like I said, oh damn it, I keep forgetting. I don't know if I've said it yet. I go to talk about how social injustice and how it can, the elimination of it. The government can only play but so much in the elimination process of bigotry, discrimination. The government can really only do but so much, because if it does too much, then it becomes an overreach. Then suddenly, guess what? You're not in America anymore. I get it. Everybody wants, I guess you could say, Big Brother, the government, to come and just simply answer everybody's problems. But that's not the way it works. I do believe government should play some form of a part in curtailing discrimination. But like a lot of the hate crime laws that we see, this is why you see a lot of conservatives start to say things like, well, what is a hate crime? Now, I'm not going to sit here and jerk your chain. True, some of these conservatives who say this, they are racist, and they're just looking for a way of making racism legal, or not have extra penalties to it. But then again, there's also a great many of conservatives like myself who legitimately want to know the answer to the question. More specifically, we want to know how you plan on curtailing the slippery slope. So the government's looking to curtail bigotry, but we want to know what's going to curtail the government from going too far, reaching too far. See? The point here from the whole Gays Blade, this thing's been sitting in my gallery forever. I've been wanting to bring this up. It's a little known factoid, and I just thought it was so hysterical. All of it's a fictional show within a fictional show, and it's just the creators of Queer as Folk, they wanted to show you this is what it would look like, because they would get their feedback. The fans would write in, oh my God, there's not enough black people. There's all kinds of gay people, disabled gay people, yada yada. This was their way of answering that. This is what it would look like if we were to actually shoehorn all of these people together in frame. And it does. It gets ridiculous because, frankly, who are we kidding? How do I say this? Like the person that is crippled, paralyzed, in a chair, I'm not saying that they don't want to be around non-disabled people, but if you really want to get down to it, nobody's really going to understand them like another person in a wheelchair or some form of physical, visible disability. They know what it feels like. Same thing with the black guy. See, I don't want to go too long here. In AA, I know I like using AA as a comparative analogy. There are subgroups to AA. There are women's groups. There are men's groups. There are LGBT groups, because it is true. Alcohol and drugs are a big, big problem in the gay community. So what drives them to use the drugs and alcohol? It can be, they follow the same format, the same curriculum, the same steps, the same powerlessness, making amends, the whole thing. They follow the whole thing, but when it comes to talking, to sharing in the room, it just helps a lot better to talk and share to people who really understand and get you. And quite frankly, those subgroups, they're really only a part of your recovery. They end up going to regular groups, and they don't. It's not like they only go to a gay AA meeting or a black-oriented AA meeting. So this people, we see so many people get shoehorned. The races get shoehorned together, and frankly, it just turns into a laughable joke. You know, in my notes here, I was supposed to be going over to to the Fire Island movie. I'm not gonna go over to it. It's 2017 Fire Island gay movie, and it's every bit as it's even more laughable, more ridiculous than this. You know, I was not shitting you when I put that moniker on there. This is the flag that you fly when you blame everyone else for your insecurities. I swear to God, that's exactly what that 2017 Fire Island movie was all about. This Asian guy, if I wasn't pressed for time, I'd go hunt and dig his picture up. He was handsome. I thought he was handsome. I didn't quite get, I was literally like maybe 1/3 into the movie, and I'm like, huh? Like when they get to Fire Island, and I'm like, wait. You mean this sexy Asian guy is complaining that he feels overwhelmed by the white guys that are there? I didn't even get, what are you talking about? That is what this whole extra color shit is all about. I don't feel equal to the white gay guys. Are you crazy? I could not believe that I thought they were very good looking gay dudes. The Asian guy from SNL, he was on it. I used to think he was cute, but quite frankly, the attitude, your whole attitude toward how you look, how you feel, you saying that you don't feel good enough, that makes you look worse than what you are. You know, actually it doesn't actually physically make you look worse. It's just a turn off. There you go. That's the thing I'm looking for here. It's a turn off. I couldn't believe it that this entire movie ended up deteriorating into a fucking pity party. That's what these extra colors mean. Pity party. I feel pitiful. I don't feel good enough. I feel like I need a crutch. I need support. I need somebody else to make me feel good because I don't feel quite good enough like the other white guys. Hey man, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I want to wrap up this thought real quick here because I got a couple other talking points to get to. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder, and I do want to talk about the whole jumping off point. When they talk about this whole gay minority insecurity, why they don't feel good enough. Okay, it is true. The cliche handsome white jock, that does tend to be like ground zero, the jumping off point to being gay. Here, I'll show you what I mean. I swear, the things I do for you guys, I just embarrass the shit out of myself. But I do it for you guys to hopefully give you some sort of clarity so that you can pull out of this ridiculous nosedive that you're in. What am I looking at here? I'm looking at the 1984 JCPenney catalog. It was a pretty famous year, that catalog. It's been featured and people have recreated it in weird ways. But anyway, I digress. What are we looking at? We're looking at, oh boy. I mean, hey, I already told you my mini masturbation story. Well, bluntly put, this is what I was whacking it to. You know, I mean, what do you expect? I'm a kid. I don't have access to, I can't exactly go buy porn. You flip up. This is how I knew that I was gay. You know, this is what appealed to me. It wasn't the women in lingerie, it was the men. Okay, we look at these men, we see they're very, very jock, very it's a very particular type, you know, that they go for. Say, is anybody, you know, a few years after this, I would stumble upon a different magazine. I still wasn't quite old enough to buy pornography from the periodical store, but this is what tided me over. Let's see if I can find it. This is the best I could do. International Male. It was a magazine from the 80s. they had some more layouts. In fact, there was even talk of them doing a movie based on this magazine. It was a very, very iconic magazine. What was so interesting about it was that do you know who really bought this magazine? Closeted gay men, you know, living very straight lives. They probably even had wives, and they would buy this magazine for the fashion, you know, trendy, very fashionista men, you know. But I just thought of it. But of course, we could see the men in it, very, very white, very chiseled jaw, very, you know. And then, of course, then came the most iconic, the most iconic one of all. No, believe it or not, Marky Mark. Don't ask me why. I don't know. He never did it for me. It was the obsession, huh? I guess, I don't know. It was like, I don't know. Was this the first time? No, this wasn't the first time that I saw a full-grown man naked. But you know, and don't ask me why, but I couldn't find the picture by itself. It was attached to Marky Mark here, grabbing his junk. You know, good for you, Marky Mark. But you know, this is what I used before porn, for my access to porn. This is what I'm talking about when I say that these people are socially and sexually inadequate. I get it. We all came up, as a minority gay man myself, we all came up from that ground zero, the starting point. You know, we all had that starting point. You know, here's a handsome, good-looking, square-jawed white guy, you know. But then, as you go through life, your tastes begin to grow and mature and change. If I'm not mistaken, when I was in my teens, there was a girl in my neighborhood. Her name was India, and she loved East Asian. She loves East Asian, Chinese, Japanese. That was her thing, and I thought that she was out of her effing mind. I was like, ugh, I hate Chinese guys, ugh. And I used to think the same thing about South Asian men, you know, that not those guys, ugh. But then things change. I mean, hell, I would have never thought that. I'm not going to get into the whole story, but of all the guys that I've had crushes on, it would surprise you that it turned out to be a black guy. And no, he was not some specimen of physical male perfection. You know who he looked like? He looked like one of the guys from Boys to Men, the one that wore the glasses. He looked like he could have been his cousin or brother. You know, he kind of favored him. You know, and it's not like he ever had rock hard abs or nothing like that. I ended up falling in love with that black man. I mean, really falling in love, but that's a story for another time. So, like I say, I did not need these ridiculous colors to help me to grow as a person, to grow as a gay man. You know, in my own time, once again, it goes back to taking a hands-off approach and letting people grow and develop naturally. Naturally, there would come a time where, I think Asian guys, South Asian and East Asian guys, you want to get down to, all right, Arabs are fucking gorgeous. They might be terrorists, but physically speaking, they're fucking gorgeous. I didn't need anybody to basically give me a lecture. That's kind of what this whole sassy flag is about, or a lot of the DEI that we see. It's like they're giving you a very subliminal finger-wagging lecture. You should be dating a trans woman. You should be dating somebody in a wheelchair. You should be dating somebody outside your race. That's what these colors are virtue signaling to you, okay? I don't need anybody to shoehorn me into a relationship that, so no, I don't need some guy, some hot, sexy guy to be guilted into hooking up with me, a man severely overweight. No, stop. Okay, oh my God, I definitely refuse to be a fucking pity case. Pity is definitely cause for, I'm sorry, I can't cope with pity. I'd rather be alone. All right, let's move on to my next talking point. Hopefully, did I get all of my talking points here? What did I write down? I talked about the sassy flag, the obsession, the queer as folk, Fire Island. Yep, I hit it all. Let's move on to our next. Oh, you're back. Sorry, didn't notice you. um, yes, that was quite telling, very much indeed. Amazing, right? I mean, it was a really interesting contrast, the queer as folk. You know what, dare I say, I'm glad I referenced that. We gay people, we used to be built of sterner stuff. I mean, if anything, the plus side of being a jaded fag was that you didn't need safe spaces, Being a being a jaded fag, uh, we were exposed to the harshities of life. Speaking of the harshities of life, that's where I'd like to go to next. And frankly, a lot of this can also apply to the black community, because we want to talk about bigotry, things like that. Bigotry, it's like a kind of, because you talk about things like affirmative action, and you talk about things like federal hate crimes, when to apply a hate crime to, any of the minorities, gay, black, women are. Can you catch a hate crime as a woman? I don't really know, but definitely Jew. Oh yes, my goodness. They have lowered the threshold on Jews. I mean, is anybody paying attention to that? Because that's the whole Florida House Bill 269, which Ron DeSantis took his closeted Jew ass all the way over to Israel to sign into law. I mean, you went to Israel to sign in a law for one of the for one of our states. Who does this? And then Jews act shocked when people start saying things about them as a super world power. I mean, come on, did you really think that nobody was not going to say anything about this? But anyway, we have to start toughening up. We do have to start toughening up. The Snow Queens, I mean, if I didn't embarrass myself enough already, but seriously, you're just going to have to come to terms. In other words, like, actually, all of you're just going to have to come to terms with there is only one truth, one reality. There is no your truth, my truth, their truth. There's just one truth, okay? You are everything that you complain about. The opposite is true. It is we conservatives that are being genocided, that are being canceled. I have no idea why you're talking about that you're in fear of being canceled or genocide. I just really wonder if people can get their head together and see the truth. But more to the point, people are what people are doing is that they are marshaling and they're circling the wagons around their children. That's what they're doing. Okay. And I can't blame them. I'm a gay man and I can't blame them. Okay. It's becoming very, very clear. Not just me, everybody is starting to talk about it. That this trans stuff, it's become a trend. I forgot to put it down on my list, but I did think of it. Let me take you somewhere real quick. And I want to show you, this isn't the first time that being gay has been popular, although I will say this is the first time that being gay, pseudo-gay, has ever reached this unprecedented height. Let me take you somewhere real quick, and I'll show you what I'm talking about.
East Coast, feel me, fellas. West Coast, feel me. Say what? Dirty South, here we go. Can y'all really feel me? Baby girl. East Coast, feel me. West Coast, feel me. Can you feel us? Dirty South, dirty. Can y'all really feel me? East Coast, feel me. Say what? West Coast, feel me. What? Dirty South, dirty. Can y'all really feel me? What? East Coast, feel me. West Coast, feel me.
Boy, I've been watching you like the hawk in the sky. But you are my prey. Boy, I promise you, if we keep bumping heads, I know that one of these days we gon' hook it up, probably talk on the phone. But see, I don't know if that's good. I've been holding back this secret from you. I probably shouldn't tell it. If I let you know, you can tell nobody. I'm talking about nobody. Are you responsible? Boy, I gotta watch my back, 'cause I'm not just anybody. Is it my goal? Is it your goal? Sometimes I'm good, right now I'm not enough. Say yes or say no, 'cause I really need somebody. Tell me you're that somebody.
Late 90s. Yes, people. There was a period, 25 years ago, this, I think Tim Pool calls it androphilia. Women who get off on being masculine. What I found interesting about the whole, this is Aaliyah, her Are You That Somebody music video. The video, it follows a particular motif. Androphilia, for lack of a better, to be clinical. We see that the dancing, the women, they're grabbing their crotch, they're being very masculine in the whole thing. And what I find interesting is that they even, they dance with the men. The men aren't necessarily sexualizing the women. If anything, there's even a period in the music video where Aaliyah swats one of the guys' ass, because normally we see men patting a woman's ass, but here she's patting the man's ass. So women went through this phase. This was a thing in urban black community. Black women, they kind of went through this phase in the late 90s, and it wasn't just simply limited to Aaliyah.
Yes, it's me again, and I'm back.
TLC's Creep, again, we see the girls, they're sagging their jeans, they're dressing, they're adorning themselves in a very masculine way. I hate to say it, but it really was just a phase. I could even go to and cut you some Missy Elliott, It was just a phase. It was a fashion trend. And a lot of the urban black girls, they went along with it. What they were doing was they kind of were getting off on hanging out with their boyfriends. You know, their boyfriends would come together as a gang, a thug urban gang, and they wanted to be part of that. I could so go off into a whole psychological analysis about women, how they make themselves these appendages of men, and on one level they want to be independent, and on the next level, you know, they're actually an appendage. But here they take on this urban black male persona so that they could more closely integrate. Dare I even say, it could even be said that there was a form of jealousy. A lot of women become jealous of their boyfriends and their male friends, their male bond. Women become jealous of men's male bonding, and they want to get in on that because that's a woman for you. They just simply gotta have every part of a man. I mean, what can I say? Delilah is still tying men up and cutting their hair. You know, that thing that makes men special, ineffable. And anyway, so like I say, this whole pseudo dyke thing, I've seen it before, you know. So what you children are doing, you Generation Z, I'm sorry, it's not that unique. It is a fad for most of you anyway. It's a fad. It will come and it will go. Let's get back to our principle. Pretty diabolical, right? Tell me that's not the most diabolical thing you've ever seen or heard. I mean, I really wish to God we could find some of the... I mean, they're out there. They're out there. Maybe somebody could track them down. They're all on social media, presumably. Where are they at right now? Have they become men? I don't think that they have. And honestly, I don't even think that they're actually lesbians. I'm sure they had their experimentation period. Lots of people do. I've spoken about it on this channel, how I have crossed paths with boyhood friends from my elementary and teenage years, and they introduced me to their wife and children. I give them a hearty handshake. Hey, God, how you been? What's going on? You know, I'm not going to say anything. I don't do anything to upset the apple cart. No. We exchange pleasantries, do a little catching up, do the cliche, I'll call you. If we exchange numbers, of course, we're never going to call each other. That whole cliche thing. And as we part ways, well, I don't know what's going through his head, but what's going through mine, you know, as I say goodbye to his wife, you know, as we part ways and walk down different aisles of the store, wherever it is that we crossed paths and met, I just simply quietly think to myself, well, you might have him now, my dear, but I had him first. You know, it's, and to be more specific in that, is that that's all it really was. I would not label him as being gay or closeted. I'm sure there are closeted gay men out there. At least I think they're still out there. I mean, to find closeted people in today's age, it's starting to get more and more rare, you know, but they're not closeted. It was just something that, put it like that, kind of like how I would try on my grandmother's bra or my sister's bra or whatever, you know, training. I just wanted to know, what does that feel like, you know? I guess they had curiosities, you know. I got a story. For the purposes of this conversation, we'll just call him Sam. Okay? And Sam, you know, well, it was he was spending the night, and one thing led to another, where he was we got to talking because I'm thinking I was like 12 years old, so my sex ed classes, and I'm telling them like, oh my God, they got these classes in school and we're talking about sex ed and whatnot. Let's just say a few hours later, next thing you know, me and Sam are, we're circle jerking it, and it wasn't at my behest. It was at Sam's behest. Sam, well, I don't want to get too graphic here, but apparently Sam hadn't started masturbating yet, and he heard about ejaculations, and quite frankly, he wanted to see one. And I did that for him. I'll take another drink. Oh my God, the things I share with you guys. But yeah, hey, I'm saying this because this was the straight guy, because he never turned gay, it was just something that he wanted to see, I guess. And back when you're kids, I guess you're not really hung up on that sort of thing. You know when there's not a predator around. I'm not saying that right either, because there's another story that goes along with that. But anyway, it's like, he just simply wanted to see it, and it's like, so there we are, we're wanking it, and it's like, he was brand new to me, so I guess I introduced him to what masturbation is, and it's like, I'm like, yo, I'm getting close here, and I tell him, stand back, and he kind of leans back, and I'm like, no, stand back. I say that because, man, you have to forgive me. I'm flashing back. Oh my God, to be young. I'm like, dude, there was a time where I'm shooting it over the shoulder. A young prostate, man. Oh man, I'm like jacking it, and it would shoot over my shoulder. Once upon a time, I could shoot it over the shoulder, but that's a young prostate. But I will tell you this: Sam was creeped out by it. I think he was. I think he may have thought that I hurt myself. Because up until then, the only thing he ever saw come out of, his penis is piss. He was like, holy, he did not. It did not process well with him. So he was at a different part, developmentally. He was a year younger than me, but he was just at a different stage. And the same thing would happen to me. It freaked me out. I quickly made excuses about, let's go check out another part of the house. I just simply wanted to get my clothes on. I wasn't comfortable with it. So like I said, I would freak out my buddy Sam. My buddy Roy freaked me out. So we're all at different levels of development and where we're at. So that's why I say this blanketed approach to transsexualism and child sexuality, that's why I say, a fucking nurse practitioner? Are you shitting me? I mean, come on. I mean, it's bad enough that you got these insurance companies trying to cut corners left and right, but now you want to just simply relegate it to some blue-haired nurse? Just stop. Stop it. You are generating a generation of children who it's just a matter of time before they wait. You know what? I've got a perfect analogy for it. A perfect analogy. Because we're talking about, when we hear the trans people say trans genocide, what they're talking about is not getting fresh meat for the grinder. They need freshly indoctrinated children to sexually mutilate themselves, to keep their ideology alive, It's like, I don't want to get too often too many different comparative analogies here, but I once knew a guy that had weight loss surgery, and it's like it's all he would talk about with other people who were overweight. It's almost like he wanted everybody to that was overweight to get weight loss surgery with, not everybody, it's not always the best thing for everybody, but, so it's like the surgery, you want all these other people. It's like a cancer that has to metastasize, or a virus that needs to spread, a mind virus, I don't know if I'm really articulating this right or not, but that's how it would be. As we see when people are forced under court order to cater to your fantasy, forced under state laws, these these laws that run completely contrary to the Constitution. You can't say that about me, that I'm not a woman. Yes, I can say that about you. Okay? And if you don't like it, that is for you to come to terms with. That is for you to find a coping mechanism to deal with. You don't get to rewire my mind. You don't get to hijack my mind, reprogram my mind. It is not for you to tell me how I am to converse with the outside world. That is for me to do. And it is for you to come to terms with it. I started talking about that as well. Bigotry and racism, homophobia. You're only going to get it, but so eliminated. Am I saying that right? It's like when you watch pharmaceuticals or cleaning commercials, cleaning agents, a soap commercial or a pharmaceutical commercial, when it goes to talk about wiping out germs, cleaning a surface or eradicating an infection, the animated graphics, ever notice how there's always a tiny little speck of it left behind? Because that's their way of telling you that this pharmaceutical or this cleaning agent, it only does but so much. Okay? And especially in terms of the pharmaceuticals, the pharmaceutical can only do but so much, but eventually your natural immune system is going to have to step in and take the rest of, like a passing of the baton, relay races, the antibiotic can only do but so much before it has to eventually hand off the baton to your natural immune system, to fight the rest of the way, so you're only going to get homophobia, racism, misogyny. You can only get but so much as far as laws, passing laws, enforcing laws. You're never going to be able to micromanage the mind of every man, woman, and child on earth. It's not going to happen. And that is what's so fearful right now. That's what people are trying to do right now. This new world order in the wake of the fake pandemic. They're trying very, very hard to install some form of government system that micromanages the shit out of your mind. Every single form of dissenting opinion will be eradicated. Dissent will not be tolerated. I sent a text to a buddy today. I said to him, should we be concerned, as black people, because he's black, I'm black, as black people, should we be concerned that the Juneteenth flag is eerily, creepily similar to North Korea's flag? Okay? If I'm not mistaken, Post Millennial is reporting that multi-millionaire Colin Kaepernick, well, he's signing on to full communism. He wants America to completely divest from capitalism. capitalism doesn't serve black people. Is that a fact, Mr. Multimillionaire? Huh. Tell me, Colin, where are you going to donate your money? I want to know who's going to get all that money. Oh, I get it. You're the special exemption. Yes, another one of these exemptions. Just like how Bill Gates says that it's okay for him to fly in private jets and private helicopters and all that because they're special, because, well, their voice is so critical to the cause. Power to the people, right, Colin? Power to the people. You get to keep your wealth while everybody else, well, right. Communism, North Korea, or Juneteenth, excuse me, I don't know. Is it Juneteenth or North Korea? You're going to have to, I don't know, it's all blurring together, you know. I tell you, what else have I got here? Have I got anything else? You know, these parents, they are at their wits' end, because that's where I was going with that. You know, people are watching. People are seeing how these trans TIFAs, these trans people, have become increasingly violent. And they're not blind. They're beginning to see how peaceful the conservatives are, how violent the trans activists are, and how the trans activists are absolutely racked with fear whenever anybody tries to have a sober-minded, rational conversation. People are beginning to notice who is aversely rejecting civil debate, who avoids civil debate like a plague, and who does not. Okay? Katie Hobbs, Joe Biden, Fetterman, a lot of these we're beginning to see, you know. And this is why people are beginning to crack down. And frankly, part of my note here, it says, what do I say here? Conservatives increased aggression against LGBT. I've been noticing, I've been keeping a very, very close eye on Tim Pool, believe it or not. The Dylan Mulvaney thing. I've been keeping a close eye in terms of, I've been watching how Tim and many other conservatives, how they speak, how they talk. I mean, some of the segments that Tim does, he's like really, he's angry. The anger is slowly increasing in his dialect, in his speech, you know. And I'm listening very closely to the things that he's saying, because if you listen closely, his cancer is beginning to spread. You have to listen ever so closely. But suddenly, with him, Seamus O'Coughlin, some of the, you know, suddenly we're beginning to hear criticism that isn't limited to just children. You dig what I'm saying? We're beginning to see how a lot of these conservatives are starting to take aim at a lot of progress that had been made years ago, such as same-sex marriage, such as non-discrimination for employment. You see, I told you I was going to, I'm running late right now. I don't got time to go to it. But part of my opening sequence, I was going to film myself banging myself, banging my head on the doorway here, you know, because I told you so. I told you so. That this was going to be the end result of locking arms with Antifa. The trans were seduced, and because I get it, in the acronym, the trans are the lowest of numbers. So this massive influx must have been very seductive for them. Oh my God. Oh my goodness, I'm so popular. Everybody's just so... I'm so popular. I tried desperately to warn you. Because right now, even people who once upon a time supported you, they fucking hate you. Can't stand you. They don't want to hear it. This has definitely got... I hope somebody's paying attention. I hope somebody is quantifying this. LGBT has retracted like the GDP retracts. LGBT has retracted in civil rights. How much longer is it going to be before people can now be fired for being gay? Things that had long been settled. Conservatives were coming around, accepting, but you foolishly let these people do this to you. So much so to the point where will there be any more gay performances? Gay pride. Is gay pride now on the chopping block? And if it is, it was put there by nobody other than the LGBTs themselves. Are we now facing a reality where beautiful works of art like this will suddenly be regarded as a cause to be arrested?
When you were the age 15, they shot the arrow at you. You put that arrow in, became an angel too. But you were proud to be you. When you made a pact with sin, a secret that you'd keep, that you forget that sin could be so warm, so free, that you could find such release. My dear Sebastian, in every breath we complete the meaning of our truth, the meaning of the design, that I could be a son, and someone's son I'd find, to be the one, man, of mine, from a boy into a son, into the man of mine. Then our bodies entwine. We wouldn't fail. We'd be anything else but real.
It's cliche, but it is true. We're here, we're queer, and get used to it. Gay people aren't going anywhere. And neither are conservatives. Neither are religious people. We all have to share this planet. We're all going to have to find a way to live together in peace. And the best way we can do this is start with objective reality. What are schools for? Schools are for learning. They're not for learning social justice. That's what their home unit is for. It's what their parents are for. The government is not your parent. Okay, I understand. There will always be intolerant parents out there. I've known a few. My own father, he didn't like me. That's how I ended up in a group home. Although, if I'm being really honest, I really don't know what if it was me being gay or if it was... I played with my toys until I was 16, 17. Honestly, to this day, I'm not entirely sure what it was that had him so vexed. But I was just a very unusual child. My sister, she would always try to umpire, referee. She would tell him, Daddy, at his age, do you know how many boys have felonies? It's, 16, 17. How many boys have felonies? How many boys have been to jail? She would also tell him how many boys had, 3 or 4 kids by then. But if you really want to know the truth, I think that would have made my father ecstatic. If I would have come home saying that I got some girl knocked up, that would have just... I could walk on water. I could do no wrong. Yeah, well, sorry. Instead, you sent me to a group home. Care to guess what I did with the boys in there? I'm telling you, there was experimentation. I'm telling you, like I say, ladies, if you should by chance happen to find out that your husband or your boyfriend experimented, way back in their youth, don't break off the relationship. Don't trade them in, because I can tell you right now, whoever it is that you trade for, they also have had experimentations. It's like I say, it's not that big of a deal. All right, let me wrap this thing up. I wanted to leave my gay community with some uplifting words of encouragement. Please try to be a bit more aware. I know. Nobody likes to think. Thinking is hard. Oh, it makes my head hurt. I don't want to think. I like the government to think for me. You can't let the government think for you. Okay, leave people's children alone. I mean, seriously, if anything, what I want you to focus on, because it's why so many corporations have very quietly disengaged their support of our community. Gay has become toxic. Okay? So toxic that beautiful works of art like Matthew Richardson, suddenly we're now in jeopardy of losing artistic visions like his and the performers who work for him. You're playing a dangerous game. Very dangerous game. There's so much about communism, because I'm going to be doing a whole different communism episode in the next coming days. I'm getting that together, so it's a lot of talking points that I'm holding off on when it comes to communism. Things that you think you want, trust me, you don't want this. You don't want socialism. You don't want democratic socialism. When you hear people talk about how, oh, it's the modern socialism, it's not communist, trust me, you don't want any of this. Reject it all. It is a very, very dangerous, slippery slope. Very dangerous. Please, my LGBT community, I do love you. I do wish that you would heed my words. Please, we have to do this. There is a cancer among us. You know, as we struggle with the AIDS crisis, you know, how many times have you ever wished to God that your body would just start fighting off the infection? Well, guess what? This is your time to do that. There is a cancerous infection in our community. Please pull together and purge. Purge this monstrous evil from our community. Please do it. And for our heterosexuals, please don't give up on us. I know we're struggling right now. The whole world actually is struggling. Race and religion and sexuality, everybody is struggling right now. They're wrestling with their demons. But I hear you. You're not going anywhere as a Christian, and we're not going anywhere as gay people. We're going to have to come together. We're going to have to find a way to love each other. I'm going to leave you with a little bit more Matthew Richardson. Please, think about your actions and the repercussions that they will have. And always remember, your fellow man, your fellow human, that we are people too. Everybody wants to be loved. Everybody wants to feel love. I wish to God I could correct and right the ills of the world. But to our heterosexuals out there, I understand your angst. You're protecting your children. You're protecting your nest. And a creature is never more aggressive than they are when it comes to protecting their brood. So I totally understand. LGBT, realize this. Understand it. Stand down. Do not embrace this evil. Abandon this course of action. All right, everybody, that's it for now. I'm going to leave you with Matthew Richardson and another award-winning performance by him. It is truly beautiful. And hopefully both sides can maybe find a little solace and some love. Total Control, 871.
Well, I heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord, but you you don't really care for music, do you? Well, it goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall and the major lift, the baffled king composing hallelujah, 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 Well, your faith was strong, but you needed proof. You saw her bathing on the roof, her beauty and the moonlight overthrew you. And she tied you to her kitchen chair, and she broke your throne and she cut your hair, and from your lips she drew the hallelujah, 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 Well, baby, I've been here before. I've seen this room and I've walked this floor. You know, I used to live alone before I knew you. And I've seen your flag on the marble arch, and love is not a victory march. It's a cold and it's a broken hallelujah, 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 Well, maybe there is a God above, but all I've ever learned from love was how to shoot somebody who outdrew